Hey, soul survivors. I was having some fun doing my Myth America new character I have, also a new channel where she's going to debunk a bunch of different myths. So I got out of my gown and put on just a little something. But we're going to talk about pretty serious stuff today. We're going to talk about the intermittent reinforcement that we get from a narcissist and how that leads to a trauma bond. Also, that Stockholm syndrome. And it can be quite debilitating when we're going through that. So, how it happens is it changes our brain chemistry. So, just like when we're healing after narcissistic abuse, we have to rewire our brains and change it back. And it can be quite painful. So, if you've ever heard of Pavlov's dog, where they train the animal to count on some food or a snack, a little treat that they get. And they're so used to it that they expect it. And that's the same that happens in our love bombing stage. We feel it's real. We feel, we're going to get the love back. And our narcissist has actually manipulated our brain. They got into our thoughts. And I see somebody just joined us and had a little fun with my Myth America. But it can be extremely painful when we're going through that a lot of us want to give up, go back to our narcissist because it seems easier, it's less painful, but it's a pain that we have to go through. It's part of the grieving process. And when we keep going back, accepting Hoovers, that it's just going to start damaging us. And I see people popping in and out. But the brain chemistry can be quite painful. The body and the mind are connected. So when we're rewiring, we're also grieving. It feels like we're going through a death. And I'm going to go ahead and take my crown off. But the stuff that we go through in these relationships are a lot different than a regular relationship because with a regular relationship, hi, I'm doing my hair, a regular relationship, you can see when it's going bad. You talk through things and, you know, uh, say goodbye in a loving way. Hi, Mia, you just missed my crown. I just got done uploading a couple shorts of my Myth America new character. But it's good to see you. How was your day going today? Um, that with Valentine's Day coming up, there's probably going to be some Hoovers. And I was going to go on live last night. I wasn't feeling too good. I went straight to bed after school. So sorry if I missed you guys yesterday. I've been pretty good about that though. Um, Doing okay. All is good. My mom's still healing from getting stronger every day. So that's a positive that she's getting better. I'm doing good. Just a long day at work, kind of tiring, but I'm doing good. I needed that sleep yesterday. Oh my goodness. Went to bed, I don't even know, 4 o'clock and meant to wake up for you guys, but slept through till morning. So sometimes we have to do that. We burn candles at both ends and self-care is important. So thank you. Aw, thank you. Yeah, I had my little crown on earlier, did my Myth America. This is actually a pretty cool shirt. It's got like little, I don't know, it's cool. Uh, I'll show it to you. But so it's like a half shirt and then it's like open in the back. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of fun. Little flap right here. So a little something different. I had a costume business, so if it was something that I didn't have a pattern for, I was allowed to buy it. So I've never worn this shirt in my life. So it was special for you guys. So in the healing process, when we keep accepting Hoovers or going back to our narcissist, we're just prolonging the inevitable. Narcissist doesn't change with therapy. It has to come from within what they want. And, when the brain's not right, you like it? Thank you. Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. It is itchy, super itchy, and it's hot too. I didn't think it would be this hot, but thank you. The sacrifices I make for my channel. I like sparkly stuff. I really like sparkly stuff. And for some reason, I was drawn to yellow for a couple years, like that bright yellow, and I'm suffering. It's hot and itchy. But, I'm glad you like it. It's fun to wear. Um, so, I'm really concerned with Valentine's Day that some of us might be hoping for that Hoover, and if it doesn't come, it might lead to depression. That's another thing, we're giving ourselves emotional roller coasters sometimes that if we blocked them or just moved on and weren't so concerned checking our phone all the time, or feeling bad about the things that we feel maybe we could have done something different, that we have to realize, what is. And I was watching Only JS, and she did this little skit where um itchy hat reminds me of the old wool sweaters I had to wear as a kid. Yes, I remember those. It's kinda like that times 2. But it won't shrink. Yeah, those were terrible. They shrunk like crazy too, and then they got super hot, super thick. Um, yeah. I love the Irish sweaters though. Those are beautiful. Um, but, you know, temporarily trying to get that dopamine hit that will seem to get us through maybe one night where we're kind of crashing, having a hard time, because it can be quite unbearable. Like your mind can overtake your thoughts, and once that happens, your actions. And it's even if it was to work out with the narcissist, it's not the time. You're going to bring up old wounds. They're going to bring up old wounds. It's not going to be healthy, happy. The narcissist loves to discard, but I was telling you about Only JS. We'll just say it's a guy and a girl. I don't know what she was trying to do because it was both her, but let's say it's the guy. The guy wants to break up with the girl, so he's like, "Hey, I think we need to break up," and she's just like, "Okay," and he's like, "Wait, you're not gonna try and talk through this. You're not gonna ask me why. You're not this that," and she's like, "You already want to leave me. Like, even if we talk through it, like." That's already there. The universe is it's just inevitable. So I keep doing it. You're already thinking about leaving. Um, and a lot of times that's what the narcissist is. I did some more research on the bipolar and I'm sorry, borderline, BPD and NPD. Because I was saying how a lot of it seems so similar that I'm kind of questioning, is it the same thing, but just with the feminine traits versus masculine traits. And the difference for like the borderline can be empathetic to their own detriment, and the narcissist doesn't have empathy. Some do though, and that's where it gets really confusing. That it's 5 out of 9 traits. It could be 6 or 7 or all of them, but um it's the way it manifests that is a little bit different. But how boys and girls in my day and age were raised a little different. Like boys will be boys, but you can't say that about a girl. Girls have to be more reserved, boys can get away with a lot more or be aggressive, girls can't. When I was growing up, so I'm interested to see how things are going to change. But feel free to join in. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me know how your day's going. And um, the trauma we went through, even if it wasn't physical, can hurt so bad and keep us stuck. I just did a video on dissociation where you sometimes might feel like you're outside of your body. And a lot of that, it's like a disconnect. It's our body reacting to the pain that we went through. Our whole lives were shattered sometimes. And some of us didn't see it coming, some of us did. The narcissist sometimes will make it so bad that we leave. And we're sitting here trying harder and harder and harder. And you guys are great. I see those thumbs up. Thank you guys. But um, the dissociation you might feel, there's other things, you might start having physical ailments. Somebody else gave me a thumbs up. Thank you. Even inflammatory issues that I've experienced some of the things. Sometimes you might get, irritable bowel syndrome or headaches. Calibri is here. Hey, Calibri, you missed the fashion show. Oh, you got a card from the Narcs today. What did it say? Oh my goodness. Fill us in. What is the story? John's watching my other video. He he better get his butt in chat. Are you here, John? Uh, I'm interested to see what the card was. Huh. But also, if we don't get that hooer, and not to get depressed about it, it's kind of a blessing in disguise, you know? Um, and with milestones, holidays, birthdays, things like that. But looking back, I don't know if you guys want to share any of the traumas that you guys had during those special times. It's a birthday card. So you just wrote a thank you card in rebuttal. There you go. There you go. Happy birthday. Is it actually today? Um, Happy birthday. Happy birthday. And that's the thing, like, sometimes, if they are I don't know these people, but, if they are narcissists, they can still do nice things sometimes. I mean, that's what the whole love bombing stage is, that, it could be a manipulation tactic that they wanna get away with something and they don't want Calibri telling on them, so they wanna get in good with him or whatever the reason is. Uh, happy birthday. You just don't wanna send them an email. Yeah, I can understand, yeah, because anything you say could be used against you, you know? And the crazy thing is even if you don't send them something, they'll probably talk about that too. So, yes, definitely happy birthday. Today is February 8th. Huh. An email will open up the gates again. Yeah. Did you even open it? Did you open it? And I'm itching like crazy. This is like scratching me. Not itching, scratched. Um, but yeah, definitely happy birthday. Uh, and living in the moment instead of living in the past is something we got to train ourselves to do. Looking forward to the future. And you did open it, threw away the envelope. So they did an actual, okay, they did an actual card to you. Huh. Interesting. Were you guys ever close? That's interesting. They remembered your birthday. And as time goes by, we get our strength back. And when we start getting our emotional strength back, that's when our narcissist wants to come back a lot of times. And they do it just to tear us down. They want whatever it is that we have, whether we have happiness, they want to take it from us, whether we have status or money or whatever it is. Like they can go along with the status for a little while until they want to one up us and get more attention. It's never good enough for them. Kalibi says, I just took it as it is what it is. They used to be close, but finding out their actions, I doubt it. Hmm. What was the fallout? And you don't have to share if you don't want to. Yeah, sometimes they just push their luck too much that it's just not worth continuing. Um, and that's the thing, in life we have to be selective of who we spend our time with. We have one life, and that they can suck us in sometimes, either start doing favors for them or uh, just taking us off our path that we're supposed to go down. So maybe they just even want to talk to us for 5 minutes. That could have been a 5 minute interaction with somebody else. Just, how two paths crossing in the night that, you know, um, they're holding us up, and we don't have to feel obligated to people. That's one thing too, if you have low self-esteem or low boundaries, that a lot of times we feel obligated to people that we shouldn't feel obligated to. So we might be giving rides to people, lending money to people. And there comes a time where there's got to be a balance where we need to take control of our lives, set our boundaries, help those that are true friends, not just takers. And it seems like society is changing to where everybody wants to take, everybody wants to discard. Um, Nobody talks through things. And with our narcissists, we did try to talk through things. And I saw something today at school that was quite interesting. We have a boy who has become aggressively more aggressive, if that makes sense. And um, he hasn't been in my class, but he was there today. And he gets quite violent with the other kids. And it's just an uncontrollable thing for him, and you can see he's changing. You can see his face changing. And it was interesting because I said, do you need a break? That's what we're supposed to do. We're trained to say two different things. Do you need a break? When he resists it, we say, go take a break. And so I asked him, do you need a break? And he's like, I don't know. And it's kind of when that brain is taken over. Hi, John. That it gets confusing. I'm not saying the kid's a narcissist, but he's got some stuff going on, and you can see it change him. And it's over. He was asked to pick up an eraser that he threw across the room. So it's like he wanted to do that. We didn't like it, and we told him to make it right. And he couldn't stand that. It set him off. Um, and Mia is here. Hey, Mia. We're saying hello to John. Mia's been here all along, but Calibri, say hi to John too. And so good to have you. Yeah, Mia, I saw your post right before I went live. I'm like, oh, I don't have time to reply. I was going to say that I was looking forward to seeing you. So definitely thank you guys for joining us and the thumbs up and everything. So John, what's been going on with your stuff? You say you kind of met someone just walking and you cross paths with your person. Um, no repercussions, no dirty looks or anything. I think you said you didn't make eye contact. And luckily you got to know your person too, that how are they going to react? Are they going to get violent or do some underhanded things to you? But it sounds like it went smooth for you. Mia, what's been going on with you too? Um, how are you guys feeling about Valentine's Day coming up? Do you feel safe or frustrated or hurt? And you guys can just listen to if you would like. Um, but I definitely don't want you guys to look at it like it was your self-worth. John says, my phone is giving me trouble again. Yes, and she just happened to walk past us. Yeah. Yep. What timing, right? When was the last time you seen her? You haven't seen her in quite a while. I thought she moved. I thought she moved, John. I know she's been wanting to, but she's on a 10-year plan. Um, I wish her phone wasn't giving you trouble. I think they do it on purpose, so you got to keep buying new phones. Yeah. But usually, they can give you a discount a lot of times. It's still expensive though. So easier said than done, you know. Um, John's asking how everyone's day was. Mine was good. Mine was good. And you have good days and bad days, but cherish those good days. And that's just like a little sign that things will get better for you. You just got to hang in there. I know some people get so depressed, so down, so hurt. And um, it's overwhelming sometimes. And we have to counteract that. We have to give ourselves some things to do. We have to reconnect with people. When we miss our narcissist, uh, you know, um, it's we have to delve a little deeper. Are we lonely? Are we really missing them? Or are we missing the past? But the past wasn't true. They don't stay consistent. They break up a lot. It's a cycle. They have to do that. And I wish I remembered that exact quote between the borderline and I remember borderlines will dump on you, but narcissists will abandon you. That's what it was. Borderlines will dump on you, narcissists will abandon you. And the reason I'm wondering if it's kind of male female type stuff, feminine, masculine, is because women are more verbal. We say what, four times as many words as guys do. Um, so, uh, you know, uh, And girls had different coping mechanisms than boys did back in my day. We're still in a transition thing, and I think that's why there's more, borderline and MPD kinda mixed, getting closer to 50-50. John says she's laying low since her friends got in trouble. Smart lady. Mia, things are good, John. Thank you for asking. Hope all is well with you. And Kalibi, are you enjoying your new vehicle? John says I'm doing good, spending time with the pets. And your little snake came out. Oh, trying to remember. Peter? What's your snake's name? Can't remember what your snake's name was. But Dixie's doing good. I have to buy dog food, so I bought her Arby's today, some roast beef sandwich for her. I'm like, I don't want to go to the grocery store. Um, but I've also done a lot more research on the green screens, things like that. So we're gonna have some fun type of videos come in. Feel free to let me know though, guys, if there's certain things that you're struggling with, certain answers that you need. I think that through healing, you heal with knowledge. Knowledge is very important in this type of situation, because we put a lot of blame on ourselves and we ruminate a lot and it's stuck in our brain and we have to take positive steps. We have to let go and accept what is instead of bargaining for things to be different. We live in today and the thoughts of the past keep popping in, but we have to ground ourselves in what today is and the things that we can change, things that we can't. John says, just bought a light bar device that reacts to music. It has lots of effects, settings, and it's flashing to your voice on my Bluetooth. How cool! That's something I would like. I used to have this laser show, this really cool laser show. Somebody stole it when they broke into my place. Stole a bunch of stuff. I told you guys that story where they torched my car, killed my roommate's cat. It was terrible. All because I said no. Calibri says, yes, I am enjoying my new car. Treated myself to some Filipino food this afternoon. It's a drive uphill, so got some goodies for tonight. Oh, that sounds neat. What kind of Filipino food is there? I don't think I've had Filipino. My first boyfriend, I dated him for 20 days, May 6th to May 26th, 1980. I had the biggest crush on him. 20 days. Rock solid for 20 days. I never even held his hand. I was 10. Mia says, that's good, John. Pets are a great comfort. And they are. They definitely are. They'll get you through some really hard times. And it's consistent. They're there when we need them. And our narcissists, we thought they'd always be there. And, you know, when we look at it, a lot of times we're like, why can't we just change just a couple little things? Or we're trying to understand. But the future faking can be exhausting, can make you feel that you're not good enough. That's not the case. The narcissist, just only cares about themselves. It's roasted pork, all chopped up with sauce on the side, some baked goods. Oh, I bet it's good. Aw, Mia says, "I'm such a doll. I bet you had tons of boyfriends." No, not really. Not really. I get asked out a lot, but no. Um, when I went on a couple dates, like, if you don't put out, they don't call you again. So basically, I had 2 narcissists, and that's about it, to be honest with you. Yeah, yeah, 52 years old, I've had, like, 2 narcissists, and that's about it. Um 'Cause it can be quite traumatic, like in high school and, college, I went on a couple dates, I was date raped, another met, found out he was married, it was he was out of town and said, I met him at college, he's like, "Why don't you come see me? I have this convention to do," and absolutely gorgeous guy, but, he, said to meet him at, like, the bar at this hotel because that's where he was staying, so I'm like, "Okay, well, just meet up there," and I was telling some guys at the bar, they were kinda asking me out, I'm like, "No, I'm meeting someone," and they're like, "Oh, he's married." I'm like, "What?" And so, yeah, if I didn't meet those 2 guys, I woulda known. But, yeah, guys I have not had a lot of luck with because, um it's a lot just sex. Plus, I'm 6'1". I kind of want somebody taller. I know it's shallow, but so yeah, and then I just too caught up and like it felt bad. I dated this one guy, I leaned over to kiss him, and his ear reminded me of my ex, and I started crying. He's like, "What?" That's not a good, you know. Then I went on a date. So I've had dates, but not relationships. I had a date with a guy, I think I told you guys this on New Year's Eve, and he's getting drunk and really he was drinking whatever he was drinking. I don't remember beer or drinks, but they passed out this horrible, super cheap, terrible champagne. It must not have sat right with him. And he threw up in his party hat and then he wanted his New Year's kiss. And I'm like, no, our first kiss is not going to be a vomit kiss. So that didn't go too well either. And then I have some really good guys. I have some really good guys that have wanted to date me, but if I'm not attracted, I can't just even kiss somebody. I have to be really attracted to them. Kalibi says, I knew what the female narc wanted. She was probably going to ask me, and that's shallow, but that's me. Um, I knew what the female narc wanted. She was probably going to ask me to volunteer again at the roof gardens this spring, but no, she's wasting her time. And yeah, 6'1". I hit my head a lot. So, so watch this video. I'm like talking about brain damage, and you're like, Cynthia, it has nothing to do with narcissists. It has to do with you hitting your head over and over. But they do damage our brain. They definitely do. That's why the longer you stay in it. Kalibi says, so by me being up there, I'll be alone with the male narc and her playing triangulation on me and him. Just crazy. Uh, you continue. I knew what the female narc wanted. So yeah, uh, that is crazy. Yeah, you don't need to deal with the triangulation. And Lily's here. Hi, Lily. And John's being sweet, tall, short, doesn't matter. I know. There's a lot of guys that don't care how tall I am. Um, and that's sweet. I'm shallow. And I'm just being real with you. Will I ever date again? I don't know. I don't want a drunk, and I don't like weed stuff. Um, you know, I don't know. Like I see too many red flags in the people that I meet. Um, I it's just if it's right, it's right, then I will. Not forcing myself. I just think that it's so late in the game that enjoying my solitude has been all I look forward to because it's so peaceful. Yeah, but see, it can be peaceful, but I I I feel like I've never even had a relationship. I lived with my uh daughter's father, but like the beginning of our relationship was long distance, 4 hours away. And then he went in the state police academy and I was in college, and I went 6 days a week. Like literally I took like 32, then 33 credits. Like I took almost triple time. Um but when we lived together, I went to school and he went to work, and then, um, yeah, I had to go home on the weekends, for my costume business, and didn't really see him that much. And when we did, I don't know, you know? So I feel like I've never had a relationship, honestly, to be honest with you. Long term bullshit. Uh, but if it's right, it's right. So Lily saying hi to everybody. John says a lot of girls gave me hugs over the past year. They know what I went through. Yeah, there's a lot of kind people. There are people that I'm friends with. Most of my friends are guys. But that I gotta watch too, because if I go out, trying to find a guy, I'm with a guy. So that's kind of counterproductive, because it's not a date, but the people watching you don't know that. Mia says, hello to Lily. Kalibi, I think these two narcs are running out of good supply. People are avoiding them. People start catching on to it too. John says, hello to Lily with lots of love. What happens when a narc can't get supply? They have that narcissistic collapse. They go basically crazy. Um, They can look for targets of old supply. Sometimes they commit suicide. They have a fairly high suicide rate. It just becomes overbearing. They don't want to be within themselves because it causes too much reflection. Trying to understand why people left them or whatever. They just got to put it out of their mind, put it out of their mind, and without uh, processing it, it's just going to keep popping into your head. And that's why we have to process what we went through. We have to accept that we can't change it. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck in this for the rest of our lives. And it's painful. It's painful for the narcissist. And, you know, it's when you get stuck in that discard phase, they don't snap out of what they're going through, and they have a tendency to split as all good or all bad. So you can be the best thing in the world. Once they split you as all bad, they're not going back. It could happen, but they they will eventually get supply, or they can pay for supply, whether it's sex or, um, status, have a not even a sexual escort, but pay an escort so they look good. And then maybe that way they can rebuild status or they're manipulators. They'll find a way. Can be harder though in old age, you know. They can rage a lot more too when they can't get supply. A very good question. Depends on the narcissist too, but you got, Levy says, except for their flying monkeys, which will eventually become their victim. It's just a matter of time. These narcs are relentless. That's true. They will utilize those flying monkeys until the flying monkey says no. Once that flying monkey says no, then they're worthless to them. Sometimes they'll take revenge or they'll just cut them out of their life. It just depends. Or Kalibi says, hi to Lily. John says, me too, Cynthia. It's hard to decide what to do in terms of a relationship. Yeah. And, there's certain things important to me. Um, certain beliefs, things like that. Uh, so John says only one long-term relationship I had in my life. I really do miss her. Yeah, so that makes it hard too, and it's good that you don't have a lot in your um notches in your belt or however you put it. Um because the more people you've been with, the more comparing that happens. And more people are like, should I go back to them? Where they start thinking that way. And so if you're thinking about the new supply, if you know anything about the new supply, that's one thing too that can kind of predict, you know, um, they have all the statistics and my second one is pretty textbook on everything. Lily says, yeah, who needs other baggage and doing fine on your own? Not to rule out completely, but risky. Yeah. And the thing that scares me is sexually transmitted diseases where that just scares me. Kalibi says a good sign that these narcs are miserable is they stalk and hoover and they send their flying monkeys to spy. Yep. So um sometimes they spy, sometimes they don't. It just depends on how what their needs are. And Lily has a good point though about we have enough baggage. Um, yeah, we don't need another set. Um, yeah, and that's true. I see what you're saying, Calibri. By are they miserable? How do we know? Well, they're going out of their way, and they have to know everything about us so they can calculate their next move. John is agreeing, and I agree too, that those flying monkeys, they're little. It's kind of like you think the Wizard of Oz, where they just fly and land and do whatever. And it can be anybody. It can be a family member. It could be your friend. They'll sometimes uh, reach out to people with good intentions, but they're bullshit intentions. Admittedly, Cleeby says, I once one of those. You were once one of those? Oh, yeah. And they can do that. They can manipulate you into being a flying monkey. And you have to be careful with that too, because it can cause you some friendships, or um, people might look at you differently. They could tell you something like, could you help me with this? And it seems like a legit thing. And then it's just they're using you to break the ice. And um, where they can't get past the boundaries, so they use somebody else who they feel can get past the boundaries to weaken the victim. John says, my crazy neighbors kept track of their body counts, people they used. I overheard them once comparing notes. Ooh, yep, that's crazy. I have a friend who told me 150. I was like, what? Like, he's super young. I'm like, no, thanks. you know, um, yeah. I don't know. Um, and be careful if you do start dating somebody to, have them invest in you before you have sex with them. It's just a good practice, because there are a lot of people out there. Like I said, I've been on several dates where if you don't make out with them, they won't call you again. And if they really like you, they'll wait for you, So I'm not like and don't take those kind of things personally though, because it's not about you. It's just they want a quality person wanting a relationship. They just wanted sex. And I had this one guy that went on a date, that I left. He was standing. It was so funny. Like his arms are out, like his arms are way out, like, "You're leaving?" leaving? Because I didn't have sex with him. Because 'Cause I'm like, "Well, I better go," and he was, like, stunned. He's like, "No woman has ever just left." Because he was really good looking, but I left. It was weird too with him. He was fascinated with my legs and my boots, and it's almost like, uh, that's when I realized what a foot fetish was, because I thought it was just you thought feet were pretty. No, it was like some crazy stuff, and I don't even know if he knew what I looked like. He just knew what my feet look well, like in sandals or whatever, what my feet and boots look like. It's weird. Like, he was so into that. Um, and then I have another guy who keeps trying to get with me just because 'cause I'm tall. Like, I'm 30 years older than him, and he's just fascinated how tall I am. Uh, he's tall too, though, but he dates only short women. It's weird. I don't know. Kalubi says that gal from Phoenix shortly moved out. Now I know was harassed by that female narc. So she did move out, though. That's good. Yeah, and it can be men and women. Men and women can be narcissists. John says my relationships with women were always good. Except that one. Um, and that's where it's hard to see it coming, because a lot of us are used to decent friends. Nobody's perfect. Flying monkey is anybody to do a little job. So if you're not answering my phone, then I'm gonna ask somebody to bring you a note. Or, if, I wanna see you, maybe they can ask you to go to a concert with them, and, "Oh my gosh, I'm sitting right next to you, now I can talk to you." It's just whatever, uh, a person who is used to get to you in some way. So, it's a manipulation vice, I guess, a person who helps them. It's a good question though, Lily. Um And they got the names, it's not even just spy friends. They can be spy friends, but it's more than that. It's just any little job, anything. Um, or even just to, break you up with somebody so now I can come and be with you. So you might not ever even see them sometimes. John says, yes, Lily. Melissa, hey, Melissa, good to have you. Yay. Kalibi says, you wouldn't know that you were the narc's flying monkey until the day that narc victimized you. Yeah, that's true. And that's why, people are like, look at the red flags. You're like, how am I supposed to see those red flags until it happens? A lot of times they go unnoticed because you can't notice them until, something victimizes you. Some people don't know they're being cheated on until they get a STD or STI. It's like, I trusted them. They were traveling for work. And it's like, what? Um, and you didn't see any red flags because let's say the narcissist, they keep a schedule. I'll call you, baby, right before I go to bed. And so we think they go to bed, but they do, just not the way we thought. So that can happen sometimes that it goes unnoticed because we trust them. So Lily says, okay, Exnarch didn't sport any monkeys and didn't hoover. I was lucky. Yep. And they don't all do it. They don't all do it. Mia says hello to Melissa and she says it back. Lily says, yeah, dodged a weird one. Yep. And it still hurts though. Our brains have to rewire. Somebody else gave me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Calibri says sometimes flying monkeys are commanded by the narc to harm you. Yep. That could be it too, you know. John saying, good to see you, Melissa. Lily, not to change the subject, but is that a blouse Cynthia address? I had my hair up. I had a little crown on. I'll show you. It's itchy, but this is my shirt. It's like a shirt, like a flat, and then the back. You see that? So just a little fun shirt. Mom's fiance is unbeliever, not strong, born again Christian. Um, I look like a disco mama. I just had to have some fun. I haven't worn this. I've never worn it, and I was in my basement. I'm like, I'm putting it on, but I don't think I like how it looks on camera. I don't like this on camera, but I sat down like, dang it, my hair is all funky. You guys still love me though. I love Lily. Lily's like, you know what? I'm just gonna ask. So Melissa, you say, um, okay, so your mom's fiance, who would be your stepdad, is not a strong born again Christian. I'm getting confused because he's an unbeliever, which means, are you saying he doesn't believe, but he's not a strong again Christian? Is a born again Christian? Is he Christian at all? Because if he's not a believer, then that's about the most unstrong born again Christian you can be. That's not a Christian. Um, okay. So when you say unbeliever, let me know what you mean by unbeliever. Then I can help you with that. Kalibi says, oh, I'm not reading that one again. John says, I'm wondering if our human evolution has something to do with how we behave. We are animals too. We just have an analytical mind compared to other creatures. Um, yeah, I need to do can trauma be tell me what you guys think, I'll tell you what I think. Can trauma be passed down through generations? And this is where I struggle. Um, there is some evidence that that might be true, and I want to research it more. They have twin studies, and can it be passed down? I don't want to necessarily say yes until I do more research on the intrauterine trauma that can happen to somebody, because whatever the mother is going through, the baby can hear sounds, so any yelling or the high levels of adrenaline or drug use or fear that's manifesting in the mother, that can cause some trauma. So is that necessarily where you would say it's generational, or situational at that time? And, you think about, like with the slaves, that there is trauma, definite trauma that they went through. But is it passed down, or is it people who might have had a harder time in society trying to make the money, trying to find the resources? Could it also be identifying with that trauma, just because of your race? So I want to do more research. Is it in the lineage? Because that's something to think about too, you know. Um, he loves sparkly it's like eye candy. Doo 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 doo. Yeah, it's got little flappies. Can you imagine Barry White singing? I have my microphone. Hold on, I gotta wait. Ah! Gotta have some fun. Oh my gosh. I love my microphone. I have my microphone. I love this thing. um, so I can sing backup. Wow, hot host from the heterosexual girl. Uh, well, thank you from the heterosexual girl back. Not a Christian and a okay, so he's not a born again Christian. Um, is he saying he's Buddhist? Because that John says have or is he portraying to be a Christian at all? Is he straight up? Because it was a little confusing on how you said not strong, born again Christian. That's why I got confused. So, is that something important to your mom? Or is she okay with him being a Buddhist? They do have some different takes on things. Um, John says, have I heard of genetic memory passed through the generations? Is what I'm pretty much talking about. I'm a star. I'm a star. You notice my outfit, very nice, very attractive, thank you. Very scratchy and hot. So based on my temperature, I'm a hot mama tonight. Some people, yeah, it could be a deal breaker, you know, or even just the different beliefs. And also be careful too, with religious people who, unless they know about narcissistic abuse, you know, be careful and think about what's best for you, because some of them will say, you know, stay in that relationship. And, you know, with my beliefs, you stay and you work through things, but if it's toxic, I I don't think that we're meant to, you know, uh, I don't know, like be so severely abused, you know. Uh, some narcissists or psychosocial paths will, you know, force sex upon you. And you know, there was something I came across. I it's in the Bible and I haven't read it, but somebody brought this up where it was somebody in the Bible. I wish I could remember his name, but he was with his brother's wife. So what I think the story is he took on his brother's wife. So the brother probably passed away. It was set up that way to where, you know, the husband dies, the brother gets the wife. And he had sex with her but didn't come inside her. And I guess he either died or got plagues type stuff. So I don't know. That was sometimes too in the Bible, some of it I think is more poetic and people take it as exact. So, Lily, thank you for that heterosexual comment. But and sometimes it's taken out of context. So just be aware what the context is if it's poetic. And so Melissa, how do you feel about him? When is she supposed to get married? And that's sometimes hard, you know, you see somebody that you love and, bringing in somebody toxic. Um, yeah, and, uh did you say your mom was also narcissistic though, Melissa? Because there's a lot of people that do go to church, and if you're a true narcissist, you, you kind of feel that you're your own God, and it's real hard to be a good Christian or whatever religion you are, um, when you put yourself above others. It's set up uh, to bring peace and happiness to everybody, because if everybody is, this is what's scaring me, guys, though, is I see so much discard that I think people are discarding people that might have messed up, but that they're not cold-hearted. There's different perceptions sometimes. So yes, there are people that continually abuse, but I see a lot of the one and done. Like, you can't fuck up at all. And a lot of people weren't really trained how to talk to each other. That I talk about the soft communication, the hard communication. There's a difference on how you say things. Um, and I don't know if my friend's in this chat or not, but he was saying, uh, like the way he would say things, I could see. How did he say it? I wanted to let her know that her actions caused me to use harsh words. And he's the one that chose to use the harsh words. So if he was to come to her and say, I wanted you to know that your actions caused me, that's not taking accountability. So, uh, throughout the reactive abuse and all that stuff, she's not a true narcissist. Okay. Well, that's good. That is good. Yeah, because true narcissists can get extremely scary sometimes. And that's the thing. Sometimes they can have maybe 2 or 3 traits. So thank you, John. You're really sweet. Uh, that's what you meant by control the other night. Yeah. Kalibi says, "You're a teacher. Do you think narcissism and the ways they harm society should be taught in school?" Personally, I think it should be taught. um, school is changing. We got to figure out what we're doing with this gender transformation type stuff. Um, equality. There's a difference between equality and equity. We do teach them to say sorry, but we don't really teach them to say sorry for what. And so they're not reflecting on why. Uh, and it's um, there should be some mental illness type stuff. We're not allowed, if we see something, we're not allowed to say, I think your kid might have ADHD, or I think your kid might be bipolar. We can't say anything at all, which sucks, because there are times, even just with ADHD or autism, that we can't say that. So a lot of kids might go undiagnosed, even if we're wrong, but they don't really look into it, and a lot of parents are in denial over what the kid has. We don't help them with the coping. We give them options. So it's good that they can make decisions, but the real world isn't like, would you like to come to work at 9 o'clock or 9:15 today? Or are you having a hard time? Go take a walk. Go get some water. It's not like that. If you were a lawyer, they're not going to go, I see you're getting frustrated. Okay, we can adjourn for a little bit. Go get some water. You know, uh, so your mom's codependent. Okay, and that can be hard. Yep. Uh, to where she can't function without him. Is she codependent on the kids too? Because that can happen too. And I have a feeling she is. John says, "Me too, Calibri." So as far as teaching it in the school, we really should. But since we're not licensed therapists, and it gets really deep. Like, as the art teacher, I have 6 shapes to teach kindergartners for the whole year. That's what my job is, to teach them 6 shapes. And then, 1st grade is color mixing, primary and secondary colors. 2nd grade is symmetrical. What is symmetrical? What is asymmetrical? 3rd grade is shading, and 4th grade is depth in art. So that takes a whole year. That takes a whole year. So, for shapes. So are they gonna get, uh, you know, a lot of us, we're on here, racking our brains for some of us, a year, 2, 3, 4 years, and we're like, "So wait," so we can only teach so much. There is a 3-day course in middle school called Human Growth because they can't call it sex ed, but it talks about relationships and not to get into controlling ones. Um, yeah, that's good. I'm teaching right now a health class. I did my first one, they didn't show up. They didn't show up. Paid hundreds of dollars for my class. It's a 7-week class and they paid like $800 and that's half-hour classes. So they paid some high dollars. I think the kids just are told to log in. We'll see what the others have, but I'm teaching middle school health. Um, and I offered puberty because I can teach. I'm certified in elementary psychology, health, physical education, and also English as a second language. So it's not really touched on. You gotta be real careful on it. You can't offer any therapeutic advice. Um, I know I can teach it like I am not allowed to give advice. Um, you know, I I can do tips and techniques, you know, um, which is a little different than advice. It's just, go for a walk or do this, but it's not helping them process and all that. It should be taught though, if that's what you want. It should. But it's a lot. The high school does have an abnormal psychology. Maybe they should make that a requirement. Um, I think it's an elective. Um, yeah, it's gotta be an elective. Not like gym, but, you know, you can take Spanish or psychology is what I think it would kinda come down to. Sammy Sam is here. Nice to see you. John says things being taught in schools are a lot different these days. They're a lot different. New math. I hate new math. Um, but they are taught a lot, but they are rushed through things. Because you always teach them at grade level. So if you guys had a child that was struggling, can't read, and they're 15, they're going to go into 10, 11th grade and be taught at grade level and they can't even read. So you give them a test and they can't read, sometimes we need to stop, slow down and make sure they get the basics because, you know, just saying they're being taught at grade level. They will pick up some things, but it's sad. Um, and there's so much wasted time. A lot of it is because of the behavior. So I think if we had smaller class sizes, when we had COVID, the smaller class sizes made a huge difference. It was peaceful, it was enjoyable, the kids were participating. The class sizes are too large, 28 kids. And if you have 1 or 2 or 3 behavior problems, they all lose it. And then there are still some when I say all, it's like 60, 70% of them lose it. And Kalibi says, since narcissistic personality develops in the growing years, I think it's best to nip it in the bud. Yep, it definitely is. And it's crucial to do that. John says, absolutely. So does Melissa. Melissa says they should teach about mental illness and disabilities in school. Yeah, even the disabilities. A lot of people don't know. There can be hidden disabilities too. Um, show a little kindness. One thing I felt bad when I was a little girl. I was probably 6 years old or something. somewhere around there. And, one of I still feel bad, horrible. One of my dad's friends came out of this shop or something, I don't know, and he was like, "Hey," and he had, like, the metal hook for his arm. He had, like, I think it was wood and then metal and then, you know, for and we said something about Captain Hook, my brother and I, from Peter Pan, like, "Oh, there's Captain Hook." And we were like kind of excited, but kind of like stunned. And we've never seen that. And we probably hurt his feelings. And that was pretty crappy of us to do, but we weren't trying to hurt him, but it could have, it was just something I never saw before. And my dad was like, no, he lost his arm. And we're like, oh, sometimes people hurt people without even really realizing it. So politeness would be nice to teach people. So even just the disabilities. Kalibi says one thing, young narcs drive other kids to have PTSD and other emotional problems. Yep, we got that one kid that I was just talking about earlier, kicking kids. They're going to start being afraid to go to school, because he loses it quickly. Like the girl, I was sitting trying to keep him kind of separated. But the one girl who he had just kicked last week hard, she wanted to sit up at the desk with me, which is behind my desk. And I was like, I'm like, well, why don't you go sit? And she's like, no, I really want to sit up here. And I'm like, so I let her. Um, and then he starts losing his control. And so I told her, luckily, she's a good kid. So she ended up following directions, but she's still like collecting all her stuff and taking her time. And I'm like, go, just go. But I was scared he was going to lash out at her again, and she's a good kid, good kid. And, you know, the other thing too, we cannot interfere. We, I, I got to write that down. I want to take this class. Oh, uh, it's like 8 or 10 hours, but we can't intervene. When I was in Florida, we were taught therapeutic techniques to keep people, how to restrain. We can't do anything. So if a kid is punching a kid in the head, kicking him in the head, is that we were told concussions aren't life threatening. So we can't intervene. We can't pull the kid off the other kid. And that makes me sick. Um, that you have to let it play out. You have to stop. I'm going to call you mother. Um, we can't pull them off the kids. And even if the kid lost a finger, that's not seen as something we can intervene on. Um, so yeah, because I have a feeling I might go to court and jail because I don't think I could just sit there. I, I think I would go to jail. That's really something that I've always been allowed to separate, and I'm not happy with this. So if I get that training in Michigan, I had it in Florida, um, then I can intervene. The teachers that do cognitive impaired children, the CI teachers, they have to have that training and they're allowed to. And it's interesting, the ones that have to have the training are the ones who are cognitively impaired teachers, that the brain's not quite right. And some kids are still mainstream though. Melissa says they should teach about mental illness. I agree. Calibri, one thing you're right, Lily. Since the whole COVID thing, they added more school therapists, and I bet they will incorporate more mental health courses. Maybe they might. They might. Um, I just hope they help people work through things before it gets, like some of our narcissists. They can be wonderful, but uh, they're they're not consistent and I told one of mine, because he's like, you doing what? And I tried explaining, he's like, I don't get that. And I'm like, exactly. Like he couldn't comprehend what I'm trying to tell him. I'm like, on how people interpret things and the two different, and he's like, what? And he's so intelligent. He is so intelligent, but it's like, what are you talking about? I don't get it. So, or how is that toxic? Or yeah, hopefully, you know, um, yeah, because there's probably more stressors. Yeah. The mental illness pandemic, and plus too with the loss of learning that the kids have gone through for such a long time that they're behind. And are we going to put more pressures on them? And over the school year, um, it might be a better idea. I love my summers off, but it might be a better idea to have, it'd be nice maybe 4-day school days and, but go throughout the year. Not that I want to, but for the kids' sake, consistency, you know, um, and over the summer, the kids lose so much. Their retention is really poor. So when they come back, you'll see it too with kids that have broken families, that they'll go to the one parent for the weekend and then they come back and it's a struggle to get them readjusted for a day or two, and then they go back and it's like this constant flip flop. And that's why broken families have some issues sometimes too with the kids, especially the parents have different uh, raising techniques. And that's why consistency is really important. That's why even in the healing process that we stay consistent with ourselves. If we can have the schedule, um, and keep to that, and just it helps with our mental health. Um, I hope so, Lily. That would be really nice that there are more therapists. I have seen that. Is it called PCM? That's why I didn't say it. The one in Florida was years ago. Let me see. I can't remember the exact term. There's all these it's all these letters. Everybody just talks in letters, I guess. I have a SIP meeting. I don't know what's SIP. I just know I have to be there. And PLCs and PCM. Let me look that up. Was that what it was? Pulse code modulation. That's not what you're talking about. PCM restraint. Let me see. That might be professional yes, yes, that's what it was. I think that's what it was. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what it was. I couldn't remember what it was called. But did it go deeper than that? Okay, yeah, because we were yeah, that's what it was. So, we did that, before we started the school year in Florida, but they don't have that here in Michigan. And then depending on where you worked, when I was in Tennessee, I was at a private school. And then in Michigan, I've been at whatchamacallit, charter schools. I did work for Detroit Public Schools. Um, but luckily those kids weren't uh, they were pretty good. I taught English as a second language there. They were Hispanic. And that's why low income or urban, sorry, I won't always say that that causes the violence, because those kids, I didn't really have a problem with them. And that's Detroit, uh, inner city is pretty poor. But then, you know, with different ethnicities and things like that, they have different family structures sometimes too. Lately, a lot of kids use as an excuse saying they have mental health issues since COVID. Yes, was tough on kids, but not to be made up as an excuse. Yeah. Um, that's the thing, they're kids and they know what works. They also like to lie. You know, uh, I have these kids, we had that calm down corner where I got this little play tent, and a bunch of little toys because when I was teaching English as a second language, I had a lot of props, so I'd hold different stuff up. So there's like sunglasses and bananas and puppets and all that, cars and ambulance, police cars, bunch of stuff. So they want to go to this calm down corner, and it's meant for when you're about to have a breakdown, or you're crying, or you're hurt, or you're sick. You can just go take a break, and kids are like, my stomach hurts or my head hurts. And I have some kids say it every day, like every day. And I don't think every day their stomach's hurting. Um, and I miss my mom. And if they hear one kid say, so they're making up excuses to do what they want to do. So, yes, they will use it um, as a manipulation tactic or to get out of doing something. And John says, yes, but a lot of real mental health issues with these situations. And that's true. A lot of times, too, people don't talk about their mental illness. Kids might a little more, but it there's still a stigma to it. So they might say, I have ADHD or ADD, because then they get to play with things. You know, uh, it's a tough balance, because, if you have like a little fidget thing, for one thing, it's distracting the other kids. So we're coddling to that person. It is good. It does keep them on task sometimes, but are they always going to have that? We're giving them a crutch, and what's going to happen when that crutch isn't there? So you see some people, some amazing things where people, uh, like this one guy who has like literally no legs. He's just butt, and he has his arms, and he can like jump and run, and it's amazing. He doesn't have any crutches. He can do what he needs to do. Um, so I'm trying to figure out the balance. Now I had a broken leg. I needed crutches. So I'm not saying take away crutches or take away everything, but uh, is it healing? Is it leading to a stronger person, or is it keeping them stuck? Sorry, cross my legs and the cord is right there. So, uh, and Lily, as far as a PCM training, that's what I had. I'm not sure that's what it's called in Michigan. I want to say the letters might be different. What is up with my hair? I had it up. Um, Lily says my last autistic client bounced off the walls, ran around cafeteria. I had to explain to the idiot teacher who thought we could cure him. Told her we cannot restrain. Yeah, yeah. How did h- um how did they think that they could cure him? Yeah, autism. That's hard. Yeah. I have well, he just moved. I had a neighbor who has an autistic daughter, and she's nonverbal. And yeah, she chews on what is it, pica? She chews on walls and likes to eat paint and stuff. Um, Sweet little girl though. But um, another teacher and I today were talking about how this one kid just seems to go blank, and it's almost like they're not there. It's not like the stubborn kid who you're talking to. Um, it's like they're gone, and the eyes are the window to the soul, and it's almost like where'd the soul go for those few moments? There are some things that can't be cured. We have to realize that. Um, and we're going to be changed because of the abuse that we went through. Hopefully, we, take the steps to become better and up our self esteem. And we can do that. If you're feeling depressed about certain things about yourself, instead of wallowing in that, take take control of it. A lot of times too, if you wallow in it, you increase it. So if you're depressed that you gained weight and you're staying depressed about it, you're probably going to gain more weight. If you don't like it but you take the steps to change it, then the outcome, it feels good, and the more it feels good, the more you're going to stay on track. And it can be with anything, whether it's losing, gaining, or whatever feels good, but exercise gives you uh, certain chemicals, releases serotonin, and epineph or epinephrine. At a loss for the E word. Is that right? But it feels good. Why can't I remember? Is it epinephrine? Um, take your vitamins. Keep your body. So yeah, we can't cure. And that little girl, she's being trained to do certain things. Um, they've had progress. She's able to communicate with cards, and that's good. Um, But that little boy I was talking about, his whole face changed. John says I designed a device that actually uses a retractable claw arm that fits on my chest to carry stuff, leaving my hands free for other things. Oh, that could be so useful. That's neat. And how do you retract it? I talked to you guys too about that the Lego prosthetics that they're making where you just shrug your shoulder or tap a toe, used for shopping maybe. Now I need a wallet. You can make a wallet filled with money. It could be. That was the other thing too about shopping. They're talking about how, um, I want to say it's Amazon is creating those cashless, just walk through the store, pick up where they use those QR codes and, or the sensors where they can just tell what's in your basket. So if you try to shoplift, you put something in your pocket that it'll instantly, once you walk out, you're scanned and charged for it. The world is really changing. Is that going to cause people, um, you know, uh, stress? Some people, not that you should steal, but we already have food insecurity with a lot of people. Um, But as far as the Amazon thing that they were saying, um, that they can track everything about us, Um, and is that gonna be used in a corrupt way? It's already freaky. Do you guys like I've talked about some things with you guys that don't really relate to my life, but I'll do some research on different kinds of mental illness or things like that. And all of a sudden you're getting these things on your phone. The one that I found was so interesting. The one that floods my feed. Same one, same lady. And she's like, "You mean it's not normal to want to talk to my boyfriend every minute of the day?" And they're like, "No, it's not normal. Try." I'm not going to plug them until they plug me. um, but it's like probably the research I'm doing, they're like, "Oh, this lady's a quack." She's got so much mental illness, because 'cause I'm researching, will they come back and do they love me? And, um, is it normal? Whatever. But, I definitely don't want you guys getting so depressed that you resort to any kind of self-harm or go down the path of using too much alcohol or, uh marijuana is legal now. I've never smoked it, so I don't really know what it does. I don't understand it. I don't know why people do it. Um, but I did do that video on psychedelics. That to me still scares me, but it was interesting the way that that is supposed to work. Is it's supposed to almost to me, it sound like cause, it's like a reset button where it's so trippy is what it sounded like that you don't wanna do it again, and when you're in that state, where your brain waves are different. It's like a shock treatment to the brain. They used to do lobotomies for people where they take part of the prefrontal cortex out. Lily says, "Oh my gosh, the school ESE department had no kids like my client." And their expectations were unreal as they didn't understand autism. We tried having the mom move him to another school. You're with a different client now. That would be frustrating. Yeah, because a lot of autistic people, I adore them. Um, A lot of them are really kind. They like order. Yeah, I have some that, yeah, and there's one boy who I adored. Real sweet, followed the rules. They like to follow the rules, and he just wanted to be heard. Um, Talked really slow, and but some of them are brilliant. Some are brilliant. A lot of times too, they don't always know how to express certain things too, and it's uh, you know, is it going to be where narcissism is the norm? We're starting to go towards that, and oh, it's a spring action. John says, huh? It uses a clip to keep in place. When locked, it automatically grips the object or bag. Very cool. A spring action. And that could be useful. Um, Lily says the teacher was a narc. Okay. Always whining and complaining. Poor kindergartner. She was horrible teacher doing bare minimum, always with a frown and attitude and griping to the sweet children. And yeah, the teacher makes a big difference too. Um, a big difference. Because the kids, they wanna please, and, um, they need some structure though. A lot of the kids, uh, don't have the structure at home. It's not necessarily that they're bad kids, but, depending on the situation, were they taught to share? Maybe they don't have siblings, you know, uh, were were they, I don't know, let's go to the park and play, and it just works out. They're not taught, um, not to do it in the house because they just don't, or I don't even know what kinda examples to give. I think you guys know though. But yeah, and that's who the kids are with. The kids are gonna wanna please somebody who loves them, and the griping to the kids, they don't wanna hear that. That's one reason why we're trying to change how we teach is, um, you know, the kids don't wanna be bitched at all day long. "Sit down, shut up." We don't say shut up, but sit down, be quiet, no talking. Um that they feel safe, and not bullied, where the teacher's always telling me what to do. And Lily says she has a side cosmetic business and tried to get me to buy products and gave me the pitch and got attitude when I didn't buy. She needs to leave teaching and do that full time. Yep. Beauty's supposed to be on the inside too, though, Lily. Too bad she can't ingest it. A little foundation for the soul. Crazy. John says, geez, Cynthia, I certainly hope narcissism doesn't. That's a thing. God help us if that does happen. We're kind of getting there. We're kind of getting there. And that's why I'm saying with um the discard, just discard everybody, discard them. If they hurt you once, block them. That still hurts the other person. And, if everybody's discarded at one flaw, we're still trying to learn each other. Just like with a video game. This is why I hate video games is if you go to the arcade and you put your money in, you've never played this game, you don't know what it is, and you're ready to do it, and you don't know, like, do you go forward or to the side, and instantly you're dead, and you're like, you try it again, and it's like, I'm instantly like, I don't even know, let me figure it out to like, literally when I can do Pac-Man, but it there's no learning. They don't give you the opportunity. I don't know how these kids know. It's like, "Oh, I didn't know that I had to jump. I didn't know that those were the good guys or the bad guys." Um, so we're teaching each other not to learn each other, to discard, and with a narcissist and continued abuse, you know, and not them lying about it. And, we think we're on the same page. There's a difference between, oh, I can understand where you're coming from. Okay, we can kind of compromise on that. Um, you know, like if you needed me at 11 p.m. and I go to bed at 8, it's like, if it's past 9, I really can't do that. Setting up certain things like that, unless it's an emergency, Uh, but oh, you called me at 9 o'clock. Fuck you. I hate you guys. I'm never talking to you again. That was my boundary. 8 o'clock. So I don't know. Do you guys see it changing? Like uh, all the entitled people. It used to be the customer is always right. They did kind of change that. So people aren't liking that and they're throwing some fits, because the customer isn't always right. Lily says kindergarten teachers should be animated, fun, etc. She put on the phony with the parent gathering. She probably didn't like me because she knew I had her number. I like, oh, it's going to be such a joy to have your little child in my class, and then they yell at them all day long. John says my hamster doesn't like it, not one bit. Narcs everywhere. No. Yep. Yep. Uh, let's hope too with the economy that it doesn't get crazy. And we still have a couple other people. Feel free to join in. I definitely want to make sure we touch base with anything you guys are struggling with. Uh, but yeah, the end times. I don't know. So tomorrow, moving forward with tomorrow, are there any specific topics you guys are hoping to talk about? Because there's a lot to understand. How do we overcome the ruminating and the cognitive dissonance we've talked about. I'm talking about the dissociation. That can be a really hard feeling, and just these overwhelming thoughts. It's our brain rewiring, and we can kind of help it along by giving us some pleasure. We're in like the depressed state that we can help rebalance ourselves by uplifting ourselves, doing things, getting out in the fresh air, the vitamin D. Exercise is fantastic. Even just taking pride in yourself, pride in your situation or your home. Not being down and out that you have a two-bedroom house or whatever. Just be blessed with what you have. It's perception, and make everything you have the best you can make it. Um, so I'm going to sign off unless anybody has something specific. Because, oh, Leah says, I never tried talking to her because I kept to my client, but I sure observed a lot of her crap. Was like a dark cloud in her room. And you can feel that from people. You get an aura about people sometimes too. And even like you said, even just the room, there's vibes. And that's why when I talk about vibrations, this is what I'm talking about. Some people you really feel it from the elephant in the room. Yep. Um, yeah, it was something you felt like, nope, nope. Isn't that weird how you can feel people behind you sometimes or feel somebody looking at you? It's pretty cool, like the instincts and all that stuff. But I do want to look more into can the trauma be passed down through generations? That's something I wanna check more into. So lots of love to you guys. I'm gonna be signing off, but, a lot of good things are happening. Mia says, "Thank you, Cynthia, for another great live. Please have a great rest of your evening." You too, definitely so good. You stayed here the whole time. Oh, she was the first one in. Clevie says, "Narcs are aware of their bad behaviors, and they seem to like what they do." At least I think you were. Um are aware of their bad behaviors and they seem to like what they do. We better face reality. These are cruel people. Yeah. Um, I think as far as being aware, a lot of times they're aware. A lot of times they are aware. But other times, like what? Like, yeah, I was going to go to your wedding, but I told you 4 hours before that I was going to go to the beach with my friend. Why? What's your big deal? And you're like, I just spent $40 on your dinner, as a guest, and I allowed you to have somebody, so that's $80 on, and it's like, they're like, "Oh, well, it's a nice day," you know? So, little things like that, sometimes they don't really realize it because 'cause they're like, "Whatever," you know? They'll just give it to somebody else, or it's probably a buffet anyways. They don't always, or even just the support, that they're like, "What? You had your other friends there." Um, and some can be subtle and just the little temper tantrums. Very cruel, self-absorbed people is right, and self-absorbed, and that's what makes them cruel. Well, some of them will attack you, in certain ways, but just being self-absorbed, you know, that that causes problems, just as an example, like if I have one loaf of bread and I'm only concerned about me, so I'm hoarding it, it causes damage to all the other people who could have been saved, as an analogy. But if each of us have some, we can get through things. Um, so that's how, as an example, of how just being self-absorbed can hurt the others. And you're right, John. Sometimes you just know. It takes a while. Some people you can see right away, though, and others you can't. And usually, the closer you are, um, we're more forgiving then, and we overlook things because we care about the person and we forget to care about ourselves. So care about yourself, and we'll talk more about it. Kalibi says, and these narcs act as if they've done nothing and go about their merry way as if everything is okay. Yeah, they're just like, I said sorry. What's the big deal? And get over it. Can we not bring it up again? And a lot of times too, it's like a half-ass apology. So you're like, oh, like, yeah, I cheated on you. Now you know. So I can't change it. Like, oh, that's your apology? Kalibi says, you're right. John says, okay, Cynthia, I have to go to the store anyway soon. See you and everyone next time. Same channel. Have a great night, everyone. Mia says, have a blessed evening. Thanks for joining us. Lily says, yes, and her substitute thoughts the same of her. Interesting. And Lily says good night to everyone. Lots of love, guys. Feel free to hit that like button one more time and share this out if it could help somebody. And I will see you guys soon. Have a good night. Bye, guys.